Love bombing. Love bombing isn't affection, it's an emotional flood. Too much attention, too soon, too intense, something that collapses on you before trust has had a chance to settle. This isn't romance, it's playing with time. You know how the brain measures trust? Through repetition. It sees consistency over weeks. Okay, it says, this person is real. Love bombing shuts that whole system down. It floods your nervous system with dopamine, oxytocin, and novelty all at once. You don't even ask, is this healthy? You ask, how do I hold on to this feeling? That's the trap, because that intensity isn't sustainable. You get attached, the intensity drops, you get confused, and you start chasing the original high. That chase is the plan itself. Gaslighting. Gaslighting isn't lying. It's shaking your grip on reality. The goal isn't to make you believe their version of the truth, it's to make you doubt your own. It starts small. That didn't happen. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. Not aggressive, calm, confident. Your brain sends an error signal. Your memory collides with the other person's certainty. To resolve that collision, the mind often adjusts itself. That's the trap. Gaslighting targets your trust in your own perception. Once that trust is shaken, every conclusion becomes negotiable. You stop asking, what's true, and start asking, what did I miss? Watch the asymmetry. They're never uncertain, never doubt themselves, never back down. Certainty becomes a weapon. One more thing, gaslighting flips accountability. You bring up an issue, and suddenly the conversation shifts to your tone, your mental state, your intentions. The original issue evaporates. All that's left is your reaction. Resistance starts with external anchors. Write things down, keep messages. Don't track individual moments, track patterns. Gaslighting collapses when reality is documented. It needs isolation to survive. Listen to your body too. Constant confusion is a signal. So is the feeling of, I need to explain this better every time. Truth doesn't need a perfect sentence, just consistency. If every argument ends with you apologizing for existing, that's not communication. That's conditioning. Intermittent reinforcement. This is an addiction architecture, not constant reward, unpredictable reward. The same mechanism runs slot machines, notification sounds, and toxic relationships. Your brain doesn't bond to pleasure, it bonds to the relief that comes after uncertainty. Attention arrives, disappears, then returns right as hope is fading. This creates a dopamine loop far more powerful than consistency. Your nervous system stays on constant alert, waiting for the next dose. You're not actually attached to the person, you're attached to the pattern. Look at the structure. Affection follows withdrawal. Approval follows distress. Relief gets interpreted as love. Over time, your thresholds shift. A little starts to feel like a lot. Calm feels suspicious. Peace feels empty. This conditioning also teaches obedience. You learn that questioning the system costs you the reward, so you shrink your needs and learn to tolerate uncertainty. Ask one question. Is this inconsistency random or reactive? Does attention only come back when you pull away, comply, or suffer? If so, it's not coincidence, it's control. A healthy bond is boring in the best sense. Predictable, reliable, uneventful. Manipulation needs chaos to stay interesting. Mirroring. Mirroring is intimacy accelerated through imitation. They don't discover you, they reflect you. Same values, same wounds, same thoughts. In the early weeks, it feels eerie. It's like I've always known him. True, but what you're recognizing is your own reflection. Mirroring erases uncertainty instantly. Similarity reduces the brain's workload, familiarity signals safety. But real compatibility develops slowly. Mirroring appears instantly. Here's the clue. Early mirroring usually targets the core of your identity. Trauma, worldview, moral stance. These are disclosures that require deep trust. When reflected back too fast, they create a false sense of depth. You feel understood. What's actually happening is data collection. That data later becomes leverage. Your values get used against you. Your vulnerabilities get twisted into flaws. Resistance requires a time test. Introduce a small disagreement, change a preference, see what happens. Real people adapt, hold their boundaries, but bend. Mirrors either crack or malfunction. Watch the asymmetry too. Who are they without you? If their identity only exists in relation to you, you're not bonding, you're being simulated. Triangulation. Triangulation is social leverage. Instead of talking to you directly, they insert a third point, a friend, an ex. Everyone thinks. The relationship stops being a line and becomes a triangle. That extra corner creates imbalance. Comparison enters, scarcity enters, competition replaces communication. You stop asking, what do we need? And start asking, where do I rank? The trap. The human brain is sensitive to status. The threat of being replaced triggers loss aversion before logic kicks in. Sometimes the third person is real, sometimes just implied. Everyone agrees with me. My friends think you're overreacting. No name, no evidence, just pressure. Now you're not discussing the issue. You're defending yourself. Watch the timing. Triangulation always appears during conflict, never during calm conversation. This isn't information, it's suppression. Resistance is structural. Refuse to engage with voices that aren't in the room. Pull every issue back into the two of you. If they have a problem with me, they can say so themselves. This stays between you and me. A healthy relationship doesn't need an audience. It doesn't outsource accountability. A bond that needs spectators to function isn't a bond. It's a performance. The Ben Franklin effect. This tactic reverses the logic. Normally you love first, then help. Here you help first, and your brain decides I must love them. Behavior corrects belief. They ask for a small favor, nothing dramatic. Some advice, a small task, a bit of your time. Now your mind has a problem. Why would I help someone I don't care about? To resolve the contradiction, it raises the other person's value. This is the resolution of cognitive dissonance, and the effect compounds. One favor becomes a pattern. Effort accumulates, attachment follows. It's a subtle tactic, no pressure, no demands, just a constant one-sided flow of energy that never balances out. Watch the direction of that flow. Who's investing more? Time, effort, emotional labor? If favors always go one way, love turns into obligation. Resistance isn't refusing every favor. That's paranoia. It's tracking reciprocity. Healthy systems self-correct, effort circulates, support goes both ways. If you're always the one helping, the bond may be neglected. Love needs to come first, not after the investment. If loving someone feels like a conclusion you arrived at rather than an experience you lived, stop and think. Breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is hope management. Neither commitment nor rejection, just enough signal to keep you looking in their direction. A message, a like, what's up, then nothing. You're not ignored, you're kept available. This tactic exploits the brain's dislike of unresolved loops. Uncertainty creates tension, tension demands resolution. You wait, you interpret, you fill the gaps with meaning. That's the real labor. Breadcrumbing outsources it. They spend minimum effort, you do maximum interpreting. Watch the imbalance. Initiation is rare, there's no depth, no consistency, but possibility is always implied. This is emotional minimum maintenance. They do the least possible to keep you hooked. They didn't choose you, they just noticed you. Resistance is harsh, but clean. Remove possibility from the equation. Judge only behavior. Attention that never escalates is just well-dressed indifference. Ask one question. Would this be real if nothing ever changed? If the answer requires imagination, you're not in a bond. Ghosting is communication through absence. Silence not born from overwhelm, but silence as control. No explanation, no closure, just disappearance. Your brain panics because unresolved social loops trigger a threat response. You search for reasons, count your mistakes, replay signals you might have missed. Self-blame fills the void. The trap. Ghosting shifts the entire emotional burden onto you. They walk away cost-free. Sometimes ghosting is avoidance. Sometimes it's punishment. Withdrawal used to assert dominance. You tell the difference by the pattern. If silence follows vulnerability, conflict, or you setting a boundary, that's not fear. That's discipline. Ghosting also protects their image. No confrontation means no accountability. They stay the hero of their own story. Resistance is internal closure. You don't need their explanation to understand their behavior. Absence is the explanation. Chasing rewards the tactic. Treat silence as information. Take it as their final word. Healthy people talk about endings. Someone who can vanish without explanation was never fully there to begin with. Hoovering. Hoovering is return without repair. They disappear. Time passes, you live through the breakup. Then a message, an apology, a memory, how are you? Not to reconnect, but to test access. The name comes from the vacuum cleaner, sucking you back into the old dynamic without changing the structure. Watch the timing. It rarely happens while you're struggling. It happens once you've started to heal. The moment your independence threatens their relevance. The language is strategic. I've changed. I was thinking about you. I realized what I lost. But no detail, no mechanism, no accountability, no plan, emotion with no architecture behind it. Hoovering exploits nostalgia bias. Your brain remembers peaks more vividly than patterns. Pain fades, hope reinflates. That's the cycle. They never address why it ended. They just reopen the door. Resistance isn't anger, it's structural memory. Ask one question. What's operationally different right now? If it's just feelings and not actions, nothing has changed. Real repair requires friction. Darvo deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Darvo is the reversal of conflict. You calmly and clearly bring up an issue. They deny it or minimize it. When denial fails, they attack. Your tone, your intentions, your character. Then comes the pivot. Suddenly, they're the hurt one and you're the aggressor. The original issue vanishes into thin air. Darvo works because the human brain avoids conflict. As emotional intensity rises, accuracy drops. You shift from problem solving to damage control, defending yourself instead of addressing the behavior. This tactic reframes accountability as harassment. Boundaries become cruelty. Questions become threats. If you walk into a conversation calm and walk out as the villain, look at the pattern. That wasn't a discussion, it was a rewrite. Resistance is composure. Don't follow the tone, follow the topic. This isn't about my feelings right now, it's about that specific event. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Darvo can't survive staying in the room, it needs a change of subject to work. Closing all of these tactics share one weakness. They all need you scattered. A rushed pace, an unquestioned memory, a story that never leaves the room. Slowness, documentation, consistency, these three weapons are enough.